G'day folks, it's Cortezerino. I built something. My friends, I bid you welcome to the thriving community area on the Evermore server. There is next to nothing going on here. So there's a few reasons for that. I think it's a very small server, and I think for most of us, this is not our main series that we work on. This is just a second series to have a bit of fun together. And so we've been working on our bases, and we just haven't gotten around to doing a whole lot on our designated community island. But probably the main reason for us not doing this is usually with community areas on servers, they end up being shopping districts. And we've essentially just been a big bunch of hippies. We are sharing everything at the moment. Like, my villager trading hall is absolutely open to anyone. All the iron there and all the bones. And so I could set up a shop, but I've been giving it away for free. So, yeah, we haven't really needed to do any of that. But I thought that I would come here and get something started. So in the spirit of being a big pack of hippies, we have decided to do a nature theme for our community area. And for all I know, we might end up with a few shops here, but for all I know, it's just going to be a huge decorative area. But in the spirit of the nature theme, I have what I've done is just come in here and put in a portal, and I've done a little bit of work replacing the mycelium with glass. And this design here is just my fairy gate that I did a tutorial for a while ago. So all I've done is just built it into a little bit of a hill and hidden the portal behind it. And yeah, I think that is looking pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, I might try and get back here this episode and do something just so we can get something in this area. But for the time being, we're heading back to base. I really need to get myself a new storage area, guys. I'm starting to use all my shulker boxes just inside these chests because I don't have enough room. Although it is super duper handy having it right here in the trading hall. But that had been the purpose of last episode, where we built King Theoden's Hall. I was going to put my new storage area in that thing. That was going to be my new base. And then I realised it was just so big, it wasn't really going to fit in this town area. So I decided to put it up on the hill, and now I'm kind of thinking it's too far away. I've gotten too used to having all my storage down here with the trading hall, everything nice and close, that I don't think I want to put it up here anymore. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that means that we can decorate the interior of this and make it look super duper cool, rather than just me having chests absolutely everywhere. So I said last episode, because I finished this right at the end, we did so much work that episode, that I'd do a little bit of a tour right now. And I can't really remember all the features of this. I do have a lot of chains hanging down all over the place. So you can see I've got all those chains up there. They are just decorative, but you'll notice all around the walls here, I've just been hanging chains down. I thought they looked pretty cool, but what they would also be, in my mind, is this place would get very smelly. You know, it's based on on Edoras from the Lord of the Rings. They got horses running around everywhere, sweaty men everywhere. I just figured that what you'd do around the hall is just stick plants in there, like bunches of lavender hanging from the chains, just threading them through the loops of the chains. It'd not only look pretty all around the building, but it would make the place smell pretty good as well. Anyway, in my mind, that's what it'd be. Let's have a quick sleep. There's not much safety from mobs spawning around here. Oh goody, I did bring my scaffolding. We can get up a little bit. Another feature I did at the front here that I think looks super cool is this line of hoppers. It's kind of nice and decorative, but on the pictures that I looked at of this hall, On the front there were all these little triangles of gold, just a little pattern across the front, and so it sort of looks like that, the gap between the hoppers. We've got our shroom lights behind, so I thought that looks pretty cool. It's a nice little detail. And right up the top there, I've also got some armor stands wearing gold armor. You can see the shoulders poking out right there. So most of the time it looks dark, but when I put my shaders on and there's light shining directly on that, they come up bright gold, and it looks super cool. But anyway, this is the hall, guys. There's not too much more to show about it. It's just a big open space. The roof. The roof is the super cool thing. I finally figured out how to do a nice looking hay bale roof. I think this looks fantastic. So often they just don't look very good, and I think it's got a lot to do with the red lines on the hay bales. If I didn't have all these trapdoors here, it'd look like I'd just thrown a bunch of hay bales on the roof, and it just doesn't look as good. But once you cover them up with the spruce trapdoors, I think this looks so much better. And I've used two methods here, so we've just got them staring up like one hay bale at a time with the trapdoors on top. But when we come down to the lower parts of the roof, I'm putting a line of spruce slabs in between so we can have a much more gradual slanting roof. And yeah, I think this looks so cool, guys. I can't wait to do a whole village now with all with hay bale roofs like this. And the other... can I jump up this bit? No, I'm not tall enough. Let's fly. So I really love this little... I don't even know what you call it, a little crow's nest on top of the building. So the real one has this sort of thing on top, and it would have been really easy to accidentally make it look horrible, but I think I've done that the perfect size. And up from a distance, it does not look out of place. It looks super duper cool. But when I do the interior, I've got to figure out a way to get up to that. And we've got a few other little things. These big pillars at the front of the building. I think I did that well with the anvils and the stairs. That looks super cool. And probably the only other thing I would mention is it's a wooden building, so there is so much wood in this. And when you use a lot of wood together, it's very easy for it just to look fairly ugly. So wherever I could, I've mixed in different kinds of wood. So on these little windows here, we've got the dark oak there in with the spruce. And I've done that around the edges as well because it's all wooden here. So mixed it up with some oak, and the strip is in there as well. So anyway, I have done what I could, and I think the place is looking cool. And the only other thing I'd mention, these arches here. So they are wooden in the original one from Lord of the Rings, but because there is so much wood in the build, I decided to make them out of stone just because it still looked really good, and it's just breaking up having too much wood inside the build. But anyway, guys, we are going to do a little bit of building on camera because I never actually go around and do that. But the first thing I've got to do before I can do anything in here is we've got to do the floor. So if you'd watched the time-lapse from last episode, you'd notice with this polished andesite, I did all these patterns in the floor. So on the outside of the building, if you remember from the movie, there are these patterns on the ground. They are in grey stone, but as soon as we get inside the building, it's like a dull red colour, like they've painted it onto the floor. And so originally I was planning on doing this with the orange terracotta, and I just think it's I'm just not 100% happy with it. It kind of looks like I've just put orange terracotta in the ground. So instead I've decided to go for red sandstone. It's still the same sort of colour, but it does sort of look like it's more painted. We've got a bit more texture on it. So it's look, I'm not 100% sure. I do like both of them, but yeah, I think I will go for the red sandstone. So before I start anything, I've got to fill in all these patterns with that colour. But I think I will move it all a little bit because this is the centre of the pattern right here. And I like things to line up, so I'm going to line it up with that middle doorway. So I've got to move everything down one block. But before I can even do that, I sort of have to put up the doors at the front. So everything is all open at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cut. We'll have to put some sort of ceiling in here, maybe 3 little arches, and then a big doorway. Okay, this is not looking quite right. I might just lower that whole big crossbeam along there, so that line of composters will line up with the top line of composters there. And then that way, once we put a roof on, we'll still be able to see those composters. Well, I've done it now. As soon as I've put the roof on, we won't even notice them. So I'm going to quickly tear all this down and quickly redo it. And the reason I'm using composters, of course, is just to get another kind of wood into the build, another wood texture without everything looking super boring, just the same old plain planks or stripped wood. So it is something just a little bit new. Let's have a look at that. Yes, that looks 1000% better. Let's put a roof on this. Okay, I think for the next bit we are going to use mostly spruce wood because we've used oak wood for all the other walls around the building. I want to use spruce for these walls, so we're going to have a big arch in the middle here, which I can probably put in straight away. We'll just use spruce for this. Couple of stairs. I will need something at the top. Maybe I've got a trapdoor on me. Let's try that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we'll just do plain spruce walls here. We might set it back 1 block from the pillars so it'll look, just to give it a bit more depth. And we will mix in some spruce wood, just like I've done there, some stripped stuff into the planks so it looks a little bit more interesting. Okay, so that's how it's looking from the inside. I've got a big space up there in the loft. I don't know what I'll do with that yet. Maybe I'll use that somehow as a path on the way to get to that little crow's nest. But yeah, that is looking fairly good. I don't want to do too much with the details on the walls because I think the real building doesn't have much on those walls. But it definitely needs something else. So I'm going to do something with the pillars that I am going to do for the pillars on the inside of the building because the hall has all these pillars going all down the centre. So we might as well do a little bit of that out the front here as well. So thinking the pillars in the middle, I'm just using the first 4 blocks, but just to make it different, we're going to use the first 5, I think. So we'll knock those out. And we're going to use, what's that called? The chiseled polished blackstone and the crimson stem. 3 of these, and boom. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I already know it looks good from on the inside because I tested it out in creative first. But yeah, that looks alright from the outside as well. So the idea is that these are just normal pillars but with painted red with nice little decorations on them. And just you kind of need to have one of those black stones in between. Where's my pick? We'll quickly break it. If you don't have the black stone, it's an odd transition. So you definitely need the black stone there just to break up the 2 different kinds of wood. I think that looks alright. We'll do a doorway, and we're gonna do the doors out of trapdoors. And I'm not sure if in the real hall in Edoras, if the doors swing inwards or outwards, or if it's just one big door, if it's 2. But I remember from the 2 towers in Lord of the Rings, when Aragorn finally returns after everyone thinks he's dead and he walks into Helm's Deep, he comes into the room by pushing 2 doors open. I remember that scene, so we're going to do that. We're going to do 2 doors like Aragorn is pushing them open, and I don't really know how I want to do this. Okay, we're going to try 2 different things here. Let's just put some trapdoors in place. So this is our door. I'm putting them up on the angle like that, so it looks like an arched door that will go into that archway, and the handle will have to be on the inside of the building. So I've got 2 doors here. You can see it's a bit wonky. So this door is pretty... Oh yeah, let's just put some decorations on this side. Oops, I put that in the completely wrong spot, just to look like the door's a little bit thicker around the edges. So I can do it like that, where you can see that pillar from the inside and it's nice and open. Or I can do this door, which I think looks a little bit more realistic. I've got it slightly on an angle there, so it looks like the door's not dead straight, and it looks a lot more detailed from this side as well, because we've got that nice thick bit going up. I don't know which looks better. This one here, the door looks better, but I think this one here looks nicer because you can see the pillars and it's all nice and wide open. I think I'm going to have to go for this one on this side, just even though it's probably not as realistic though. Yes, I think I'm finally happy with the front entrance. We've got the nice little archways there in each section. And of course, I've come in here and put in the patterns on the floor. In the real building in the film, there are a lot more of these lines, so I could possibly come and do more of them later on, but I think it's looking pretty good. And I've already started marking out where all my pillars are going to go. That door handle looks ridiculous. Let's add another fence post there. That looks much, much better. This is actually going to be really hard for me to show you what I want to do, just because everything is nearly out of reach. But first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to do that same sort of pattern with the red wood, but rather than 3 of the crimson stems, I'm just going to use 2 of them. So each of these pillars is going to look like that. And I think I'm also going to have a pillar behind it, just like this. So coming up like that. I better get rid of that because that's my only light source in this area at the moment. But I'll have 2 lines of pillars going all the way down, and then a few cross beams, and we'll have to break out the scaffolding for this one. So we're going to have in the real hall, there's a big cross beam coming out toward the front. So let's make a bit of this wood with the bark end. So it comes out, I think, 2 blocks and let's go 3 blocks, and we will strip that one. Actually, I don't need the bark end if I just put a trapdoor on the end of it. I think that might look a little bit more interesting. And underneath, holding up these cross beams, are some horses' heads. So just not real horses' heads, obviously, just decorative horses' heads. So I can sort of do that with stairs. So we'll use some dark oak stairs here. Make myself a bit of room. So we'll do the curling over horse's head, and boom, just like that. So that kind of looks like a horse's head curling over, supporting the beam. And in the movie, they were coming out in every direction, but I sort of tried that, and with heaps of these poking out everywhere, it just gets a little bit too busy. So what I decided to do, and I'm coming at it from the wrong angle here, is just on the sides, I'm only going to have little support beams like that. And that way I can fit my light in, and we're not going overboard with these guys. So let me complete this one pillar, and you should have a much better idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, we are nearly done here. We've got this line of spruce slabs underneath our windows. I think I will need to continue that all the way along just for it to look good. It's just up here checking spawning spaces. I needed a button on the end. That was a 7 light level. So let's just break all this scaffolding. I've got it absolutely everywhere at the moment. Collect a bit of that. So this is kind of what I'm doing. It looks a little bit busy at the moment. Maybe I don't need as much dark oak, like I've got all those trapdoors underneath. I might try it without those actually. It looks like a little bit too much is going on, but it's just going to be a long line of pillars like that with our little curly horse's head, and then I'll also curl another horse's head out toward the back, and that'll connect with this pillar right here. But that is taking me far too long. We'll get onto the rest of that later. I wanted to show you what else I'm going to do in here. So in the real hall, there are a bunch of tables and benches just up this end of the hall before we get to Theoden's throne. There we go. So just in these gaps, I'm going to have little tables like this, and also need some benches in here. And I was experimenting with all kinds of different designs. So this one that I'm building right now, that is going to be in my way. This probably looks most like the ones in the movies, a bench like that. But it looks pretty horrible next to the table, I think. It just looks like a big mass of spruce wood. So what I actually think I'm going to do, even though it's not quite as realistic to the benches in the films, I think I want to do it like that, because it's an obvious seat where you can get your legs under it and get up at the table. But yeah, we've got little armrests on the side, so not exactly like the ones in the film. But I do think it'll look a lot better for this hall. So I'm going to have 5 or 6 of these tables just down each side of the hall when we're done. I'll show you this when I won't make you watch every single pillar I build, but once it's done, I'll show you that. Alright guys, I actually did a ton more building on camera, and I can see why a lot of Minecraft YouTubers do it. It's so they can just do a few hours work and put a video out because there's tons of footage, but that's not how I roll. I want to give you a result, so I cut out most of that, and we have finished the hall, sort of. So I've done enough that it is completely presentable, but there is definitely a lot more detail to be done in around the edges, and I've put 2 big rooms in up the back here. So just on this side, we've got what is going to be the king's quarters, Theoden's quarters in here, so his bedroom, stuff like that. He's got his own private door. But I haven't done anything inside of here. And then there's also a smaller one over here. I think this was actually in the movie. There were a couple of rooms in here. I don't know if the king lived in here, though. There's a smaller one in here just for a storeroom or something like that. But we've got all our big pillars in. So we've got 2 lines of the decorated pillars. And then we've got a 3rd pillar up the back here. And I think it looks pretty good. It's given a lot of structure to this big room. See, under here, if I can open that, it's just hay bales, but I've made that look like a big support beam going all the way along. It is looking cool, and we've got a bunch of tables and benches on each side for people to sit down and feast. Got a bunch more over there, and these nice little fiery lantern things on the sides. They are looking cool. So in that quick little time lapse I didn't have these banners up yet, but I've tried to do some sort of Rohirrim sort of banners. They use a lot of green and white. So I've got a horse's head there. If I can find myself an enchanted golden apple, we can do a much better version of that. I just need that fancy apple for a banner pattern. And then right up the back here, we've got the throne, some red banners on either side, and a little table with a cup on it. It is looking fairly cool, I think. But the big feature is these huge beams across the top, these arching beams, and that will allow me to eventually put a bit of a roof on that, and then I can have a walkway going up to our little crow's nest. It is looking very, very cool, guys. We've got our double horse heads here. So in the film, there were 4 horse heads poking out each side of these pillars supporting the beams, but I've just done 2. I think it looks a lot better that way. And that little hidden bit of light in there comes in handy, because when you turn the shaders on, you can actually see what's going on up there. This place is really, really lit up well. It's looking awesome. So I think we can call this done for the day. There's a lot more work I can do, but yeah, we can do that in another episode. But yeah, for the time being, guys, I am very, very happy with the King's Hall. So that's it for today, guys. It's been about 4 or 5 days' work, and we are no closer to getting myself any sort of base. I can't believe I'm spending all this time on a huge decorative project, and we haven't even got a proper storage room yet. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm Cortezerino. I'll see you later.